Today we are traveling to Europe. Gonna check out 3 cities I've never been to before: Sweden, Germany, and Czech Republic. And we all have the same mission in mind: to let the good times roll. We are here to track down great beers. We're here to max out our credit cards. We are here to spread NBC awareness. We are making new friends, and we are not gonna be this guy. We're gonna eat so good the kings from the past couldn't even dream of this. We're here to find church breweries. We are spending real life Monopoly money. We're meeting Brajettes, and we're hooking up with dudes. And we're gonna track down the never-ending hangover. So welcome to part 1 of 3 of Brajes Do Europe. So sit back, crack a beer, and let's get brutal. Now before we dive into the beer scene, I want to get something out of the way. Stockholm, Sweden has the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my entire life, but there is a catch. None of them talked or even glanced at us for one split second. I'm not sure if they're robots or if it's an ego thing, but this has got to be the most sexually frustrated place on planet Earth. I would even take it one step further and bet next month's rent check that no one in Sweden has ever even had sex. Not even that one time. This has got to be the safest place for any bachelor party. All of the blondes look like Gwyneth Paltrow from Shallow Hal, and all the brunettes look like Lilu from The Fifth Element. If you ever want to know what it feels like to be Patrick Swayze from Ghost, then head to Stockholm, Sweden. But I'll tell you what, the girls out here are definitely girls. They wear dresses with vibrant colors like the Spice Girls. They're walking around everywhere, but they are nowhere to be found in any brew pub. Experts have actually said you can pass out and die from being hung over and seeing 50 Swedish girls walk by. But aside from feeling like a full-blown loser, Sweden is pretty rad. Let's rewind for a second and look at this roster of Braj Lords. This is me, CH, second team all-league hangover champion of the world. This is my college roommate Dan, who recently got into home brewing. He makes $500,000 a year and lives in Los Angeles. This is sweet boy Greg, and the way I see it, he's the entire race's biological stepfather.
Wow.
Greg was in some earlier Homebrew for Life videos that nobody watched, and he's our good friend from San Diego. And Greg, I'm staying with you when I come into town next month. Dibs on the master. This is my good buddy Donnie, number 6 on my MySpace top 8. We've brewed a ton of beer back in the old country, San Diego. He owns a brewery, but you're never going to know what it's called. And last and certainly least is Patrick. If you need a deep tissue massage, this is your go-to guy. They all flew into Stockholm from LAX on a direct flight, but I flew out of Knoxville, which is brutal. I recently moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I love it, but flying out of small cities takes forever and it's more expensive. I had to fly from Knoxville to Charlotte, Charlotte to JFK, and then JFK to Stockholm, which I believe is the capital of Sweden, experts say. I did bring my book though, Frankenstein. I've been on chapter 1 for 3 years. It's a good chapter. When you're bored with the book, you go to the bar. This is what we don't want to do, be spending $14 on beers, and then plug the YouTube channel to everybody at the bar with me. I don't care if you can speak English or not. Subscribe to Homebrew for Life. Okay, so we're going to showcase a lot of cool beer spots, but we're also going to share a lot of tips and tricks to traveling as well. For starters, the public transportation in Stockholm is the best I have ever seen. Everything is squeaky clean. There's cool air in the tunnels. You never have to wait more than a couple of minutes for the metro. It's extremely affordable, so don't ever get an Uber when you're in Stockholm. And Uber out here is very expensive. Alright, so we cannot check into our Airbnb until 4 p.m., so these guys let us stash our stuff at their place. We got 2 different places in Stockholm. There's a pretty good chance when you go to Europe, your flight's gonna get in super early. Ours got in at 7 a.m., but you can't check into your place until late afternoon, so I highly recommend getting a locker at the closest train station. They don't have these in the US. It's about $20 for 5 hours, and legging around all of your luggage is a nightmare, especially in Europe, where all the roads and sidewalks are extremely bumpy. After cruising for a few blocks, we made it to our spot. Beans and berries, man. Let us in. Does it work?
Oh, I forgot to hit star.
We gotta wait another minute, right?
What?
Might have to.
Let it clamp?
Yeah.
Let it clamp?
Yeah.
It's not even 3 yet, so we're at 3 to make it official.
I'll be at the bar. And this would never happen in America. The bottom floor is a cafe that's just not open and unattended. We got a small dorm room with twin-sized bed, but it's cool because we've already lived with each other in college. And Dan's grandfathered into me doing a ton of weird stuff, so he's prepared. But as far as the bathrooms go, America wins. I don't know what's going on. I know all of this ends up in the same sewer, but you can put up a little barricade right here. Some of these toilets, they kind of just overshot. They overthought it too much. All right, but on to the serious stuff. It's time to track down some beer. And I'll tell you what, just walking around Stockholm, it is beautiful. It is so beautiful, it looks fake, like Disneyland. It looks like the Nutcracker play, but in real life. Seems like there's more people riding bikes than there are cars on the road. The first place all 5 of us teamed up was at this boat restaurant that I believe is always open to the public. Looks like a wedding venue, but I don't know. I don't think this place had one bad vibe. Everywhere you looked, it was just people microdosing on chill vibes. Gotta get the clanks going. Donnie, what's he saying? Talk about the places we want to hit, shoot some videos, take some pictures. All the beers are around 4%, so you can drink them forever. See, when you get to my age, 24, you gotta focus on the chill stuff in life like food. And the food in Sweden is out of control. Everything is delicious and healthy. I saw a ton of vegetables I had no clue that even existed. Sweden's not on the euro, but the best way to understand the prices is just to divide everything by 10. Even the airport food and the 7-Eleven food is amazing. It seems like there's coffee and dessert on every corner, and it's cool to notice that none of them are Starbucks. The customer service is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it seems like people hate you for wanting to spend money there, and sometimes you get really cool servers. We never really figured out how the tipping goes, but it seems like it's 5 or 10% is the norm. Stockholm is mildly expensive. More expensive than Tennessee, but maybe a little bit less than the big cities in California like LA and San Francisco. It's kind of weird ordering a beer though. It's not like in the US where there's 30 beers on tap and you can try splashes. In Sweden, you just say Pilsner and they pour you any one of their Pilsners. They might have 4 Pilsners on tap, but it's dealer's choice at a lot of places. And sometimes it takes up to 5 minutes to pour a beer. They use these side faucets and won't serve the beer until it's the perfect pour. It doesn't matter if there's a line outside the door. This too would never happen in America. All the Yelp servers would explode. Stockholm is a huge city, but there's no eyesores like you'd see in a big city in the US. I counted the homelessness on less than one hand. It's a very peaceful place where you feel safe all the time, no matter where you are. After the boat hangout, we went to a place called Akkurat that was highly recommended. Kind of had an English pub vibe. Greg was telling us stories how people confuse him with Billy Joel, but I don't think anybody was buying it. After Akkurat, we nightcapped it at another bar, and I could not tell you the name of this spot.
This is good.
Wow.
Wow.
Again, tons of great beers, but 50 dudes and only 2 girls. At this point, everybody was running on fumes.
This is amazing.
A great first day, but a long first day. Time to go back to the dorm, chug a ton of water, pray that my stray cats are still alive, and talk about where we want to hit in Germany. We still got day 2 though, and this is brewery day. We hit one tourist spot, the thinnest registered street in Stockholm, and it wasn't that cool at all. Kind of just looked like a back alley. And this was the first micro brewery we hit with craft beers. Bergeri Munkbrand. IPAs are called AIPAs, American IPAs. Hi, how are you?
Whoa.
And the beers were great. Even though they had a special event dinner coming up, the head brewer still gave us his time. He took us in the back, talked about his 130-year-old system and how it's different than American systems. I recommend this spot. But here's where you want to go in Sweden. Omnipollo, a brewery built on an old vacated church. The story that I heard is that a religious dude with way too much power shut this place down, and it just sat here for years. But then this Braj moved in and started making beer here. This is the owner, and I love the setup. The first floor is all production, and the second floor is for all the customers. You drink great beer, and you watch people brew all day. I've seen this logo a bunch, but I didn't know it was Omnipollo. Kind of looks like a concoction between Nirvana's and Grateful Dead's smiley faces. Big shout out to our dude Simon for taking care of us. This Braj is cooler than Fonzie at the jukebox. If you're ever in Stockholm, you have to check this place out. And now the band's breaking up. We're leaving for Germany tomorrow, and these Brajes are headed to Finland. See you guys back in San Diego. The second place I highly recommend checking out in Stockholm is a food court called Perias Lives. I think I botched that. Sorry if I botched that. I know I botched that. And I've never seen anything like this before. There's a bunch of stands of food, nothing but food from all over the world, and I don't think you can go wrong here. I'd say it's geared up mostly towards seafood seafood and red meat, but if you want something Middle Eastern or some Northern African cuisine, they have it. This place is huge. I want to come back to Stockholm next year, and I'm going to spend the whole entire trip in this spot. I went with a Reuben sandwich, and it wasn't like the Reubens back home, but it was still delicious, and it was only $10. This is exactly what I look like while I'm eating this sandwich. I always love seeing the chef make the food right in front of you. Call it peace of mind, I guess. You know what? And that's it for Stockholm. I got to come back here in a week to fly out, but that's just a solo mission. So far, everybody is still alive, and that never-ending hangover is still out there. Time to head to Germany, so tune in next week to see if we can live to tell about it. Cheers to eating good, and cheers to buying some of my merch.